warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the fifth seminar of the DigiBiz Talk, Building Digital Marketing Strategy, brought to you by AITI. This session will benefit those who are new to digital marketing or considering introducing them in their business. I would like to invite Yang Mulia Muhammad Nurulham bin Haji Zaini from AITI to give their welcoming remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all you all. Thank you for taking the time to participate in today's session on our series of DigiBiz Talk webinar. It is a great pleasure for the Authority for Info Communication Technology Industry of Brunei Darussalam to welcome you all to this webinar on building digital marketing strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, DigiBiz Talk is one of the initiatives by AITI to encourage ICT and digital adoption in the country, particularly to support the growth of the business through a series of webinars related to emerging technologies. Today's seminar aims to promote the usage of digital marketing. It is to create insight based on digital marketing and look at businesses' reasons for wanting to use this strategy into their business adoption. Digital marketing is basically promoting the brand of business products using all forms of digital advertising medium as a more interactive and informative alternative. This is in line with the ability of internet technologies, which enabling various market methods to be done digitally. Entrepreneurs are encouraged to use this medium optimally to achieve more aggressive and innovative business quality. Today's entrepreneurs should have the creativity and the innovative in features as technology advance their business product to reach the global market. Indirectly, the digital marketing can enhance the business performance of entrepreneurs if they are inverted with digital knowledge and skills from the outset. Ladies and gentlemen, to have a better understanding on the digital marketing, in this session, we have invited a moderator and a regional expert speakers in the field of digital marketing. Before I end, I would like to thank Recap for facilitating this webinar. I wish everyone an enjoyable and a very informative session. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yang Mulia Muhammad Nurulham, for your speech. Finally, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our esteemed speaker, Lupita Ardhyaningrum, who comes all the way from Indonesia. More about her introduction will be covered by our own Puan Hajah Suhaila, Dato Paduka Haji Abdul Kani, who will be our moderator for today. She is currently the CEO of Recap with extensive experiences ranging from private banking, funds management and investment, financial planning, entertainment, event management, F&B, and the real estate industry. She is also skilled in strategic planning, business development, marketing strategy, and human resources. And with that, I will pass the mic to Puan Hajah Siti Suhaila.
Thank you very much, Yati, for that kind and very generous introduction. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody, and a very good morning, everyone. Welcome to another series of DigiTalk this morning. In today's session, we'll be talking about digital marketing and how it has revolutionized the marketing industry more now than ever. As we all know, the COVID pandemic has had a significant impact on the way that people do business. And sadly, with many companies closing down due to the inability to increase sales. So today's session is most appropriate to learn more about online marketing tactics and other forms of digital communication technologies for the promotion of brands, persona, products, and services to connect you with your potential customers. So I hope everyone is up and ready for today's session. And today we have a very special guest all the way from Indonesia, Ms Lupita Ardhyaningrum. Ms Lupita is a category business lead in Shopee, a data-driven digital marketer whose work spans across products, marketing, and technology. With over 8 years of experience, she uses her top skills in social media marketing, brand development, market research to drive business growth by putting customers first and turning business key issues into opportunities. And that's what we want to hear this morning, opportunities. So from growing brands in Canada, China, Brazil, and also in Indonesia, she will now be sharing her expertise here in Brunei Darussalam. So with that, the floor is yours, Ms. Lupita.
Thank you so much, Puan. Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. And a very good morning to all friends in Brunei. So please allow me to share my screen. So the topic and the theme today is about growing your business and supercharge your business, empowering your brands through digital marketing. And as introduced by Puan Suhaila, we all have been experiencing this COVID situation that definitely is not easy. And we are being pushing to go through digital transformation. So the topic today will be sharing a lot on frameworks, about tips and practices, case studies, and then at the end of the session, we'll be doing some question and answers as well for all of you friends who have practical or seeking for tips. So a little bit about myself. So I've been in the industry, in the marketing and technology for about 8-9 years. So I've been working with a lot of consumer brands and also working for SMEs. So the focus that for the projects that I'm building at Shopee is actually how to empower more SMEs to grow and scale their businesses on digital online marketplace itself. And before Shopee, I worked with Danone, is a French multinational FMCG. As a brand manager here is to develop and extend all the marketing promotions in an integrated way. And digital marketing was also one of the key focus. And having experience with all these consumers and SME brands, I would love to be sharing my experiences with all of you friends in Brunei. So the learning menu for today is basically on learning about the fundamental strategy for developing your marketing campaign. So we'll be touching a few topics today. One is to understand the context first. What is the opportunity for the digital economy and why do we actually need to go digital, right? And then the second part to that is the benefit of digital marketing itself. What are the pros and cons versus the traditional and the conventional marketing? And what are the forms of digital marketing itself? And how do I apply that to my business? And what action items can we actually take for today? And we do hope by the end of the sessions, at least the learning outcomes that you would get is first to understand the whole landscape and take this home and directly apply to your business. Or if you're building a brand, at least you can implement it already and use the essential frameworks and tools. And as a bonus, at the end of the sessions, we'll be doing a Q&A. So for the most interesting question, I will be giving away a free online PDF book of the digital marketing strategy for you to take home and learn more about this field. Okay, so we'll start first with the session on why do we actually need to go digital. And aside from COVID, aside from pandemics, the number one reason is the huge potential. And as a study shared by Google, Bain, and Temasek, 75% of internet penetration, and this is predicted to even grow further within Southeast Asia region. So this includes Brunei country as well. And across the region, about 8 in 10 actually have purchased something online at least once. And looking into the potential, year on year, the number of internet users have actually grown and is expected to even grow further by 2030. And this would surpass even trillions of figures in terms of transaction value. So if we see into the potential, there's a huge number of people coming into and using the technology, and also the number of mobile penetration is rising. And thanks to COVID, a blessing in disguise, the consumption of digital services even remains strong after the first year of the pandemic. And top 3 drivers that drive this consumption is the continued adoption. So people keep continuously using these services, platforms, applications. In terms of deeper usage, also increased number of spend and value and also frequency. And number 3, people start to adopt it as a new way of life. For example, at least in Indonesia here, we have several super apps, for example, Shopee, Tokopedia, Gojek, and people are starting to really embrace this food delivery, instant, and what we have now is quick commerce. So delivery of, for example, if you want to buy something from the supermarket, you don't have to leave the house, and it is delivered less than 15 minutes. So all of these innovations, consumers are really starting to benefit and loving the new life. And the benefits of digital marketing, this is actually taken from a Recap Instagram post. It's very good content. So the benefit is actually you are able to target the right people with the right message and at the right time. And according to Google itself, 55% before they shop something, they would browse, at least they would search, where do I buy this? Or if you even going to a restaurant, probably you would first Google and see what people are talking or saying about the place. 96% of content marketers also say that with content, digital marketing has helped them to build credibility and trust. And these days, people would always look, for example, on Instagram, oh, there's a new brand in town. Of course, you would look how many followers, what kind of content, and how they're being portrayed on social media is very important. And 78% of salespeople actually using social media platform can result in better conversions or leads. And after knowing the opportunity of digital marketing itself, then let's look into specifically what are the main important things that we should look into when talking about digital marketing, the key pillars. And as mentioned before, the main goal of digital marketing versus conventional. Conventional would be placements of billboards, you do traditional posters, you do offline community gatherings, whereas digital here is we're able to do all of this to target the right people with the right message at the right place at the right time. So it's very precise, it's very targeted, and can be very specific. And the beauty is everything can be tracked, and you have all sorts of analytical tools that you can see, and you can measure all your performance down to your cost per clicks, cost per impressions, and even cost per conversions. So everything is very precise. Every dollar that you put on your onto this digital marketing can be measured and benchmarked against. And the 3 core pillars of digital marketing is, I would say, number 1 is customer journey, which is to really understand who are your customers, how do they behave, and how does that relate and fit into your product or business and services. Number 2 is the digital channels, as in where consumers interact and where do they engage. And number 3 is content. And in the digital world, content is king, content creative. And if we're not being clear, if our message or if our branding positioning is not clear in terms of the content creative that we portray to our customers, very unlikely they would be able to convert or even understand or consider into the consumer funnel. Number 1 on customer journey in terms of how they behave is all about the consumer life cycle. And have you heard about this? So this essentially is basically the stages of funnels that consumers go through when making a decision on anything before they take the action. Number 1, of course, they would have to be aware of, okay, there's a new fried chicken brand in town, for example. And then you would have to, in a way, communicate so that they can move on to the consideration funnel, down to the taking the action through purchase. And if they're happy with the experience, they would repeat purchase and spread through word of mouth and what we call as advocacy. And step number 1 when talking about consumers is definitely to clearly define and have a clear-cut consumer segmentation. Why? Because number one, having a rich profile of this customer segment actually leads to better audience targeting, and you have the opportunity to A/B test and continuously optimize your cost efficiency and also end goal for better conversion to business. And apologies for the noise in the background, the neighbors doing some work. But for the consumer segmentation, basically, there are four traits that we can look into: psychographic level, geographic, demographic, and behavior. So when touching across these consumers, psychographic essentially is where you are able to capture your customers' interest, their personality, or sometimes values, concerns, even down to lifestyle and hobbies. And demographic is something easier to assess, which is through their location, their age, occupation, income level, education, and so on. And behavior is specific factors that affect their purchasing decision. For example, pain points. What are they actually looking for when seeking your product or services? Purchase, if they have purchased your product. And when looking into example for Derek and Cody, for example, these are two very set of different people. For example, Derek is on a more senior level, for example, higher demographic scale, lives in metropolitan city, and when looking for solutions, he's looking for solutions that can relieve his pain points. Whereas Cody, for example, is looking more for leisure, entertainment, and is a different type of people, different type of persona. So the implication to your business, if you have a clear cut of different types of audience, you're able to deliver a better message for each of this type of people. Because if you can have one message and target to 5 million people all at once, but that will impact the performance of your digital marketing in terms of your cost efficiency, because that when broad message is being served to almost everybody, the number of click-through rates probably will not be as good as if you were to serve something that is more specific, that talks directly and is relevant to your consumers. So to recap, basically this segmentation helps to drive more cost efficiency and also better conversion to the business. And here is a slide, a framework of what you can actually do in terms of mapping your customers. So the question is, where can I then get this information about pinpointing my customers? Number one, definitely is through your surveys. You can run and blast your surveys to your existing customers, or for non-existing customers, you can actually do a matching on Facebook Ads Manager, where you can level down up to interest rate, targeting cities. And when you run your campaign, you can do A/B testing pilot. And if that actually works, you can reuse that audience bucket for you to activate for your next campaign, for example. And having this can really actually help, because once you pinpoint all these details, you'd be able to serve better and a much more efficient cost. The second pillar for the digital marketing is understanding digital channels, as in where they interact, right? And for digital marketing itself, there's an array of touch points. There's SEO, SEM, which is related to search. And there's also social media engagement. There's email marketing. There's affiliate, that's actually really big these days. Referral, there's influencers, buzzers, KOLs, and also there's CRM if you're on the lower funnel. And the question is, how do we select which marketing channels to focus on? One is really understanding your core target audience and how we're going to reach them after completing this customer segmentation or the persona profiling exercise. And second is to understand your marketing objective. Is it and the stage of business you're at. Is it on awareness level, or is it the level that you want to engage with customers, or even straight to conversion? And number 3 is understanding product fit, because the variety of product might have different strategies. Is it services, or is it consumer products, or even a B2B service? That would really depends on the nature of your product itself. And a few fundamental marketing channels, of course, there's quite a lot, a few, but I would only pinpoint these 3 as an example. So when talking about SEO, or Google search, essentially Google search is the process of optimizing the website to rank higher in search engine results in order to drive traffic to your website or your page. And 3 tactics that we can actually do for Google search is, number 1, really understand the keyword that you would like to use in order to get traffic. So the keyword research. Number 2 is actually working on your headline articles. So if you go on Google search and you type on, for example, hijab or dress for women, and then you see all of these lists, different lists. So the first 50, 60 characters that you see is actually where you should focus on. And in terms of content, once you lock your keywords, you lock on your text and headline articles, the content is a reflection of the keywords that you would like to capture. And that's where the first thing that your audience will see once they land onto your page or onto your website. And secondly, on social media is basically an engagement touch point. And the main objective is to drive word of mouth and buzz or share of voice across this different touch points. And usually the strategy that we can apply basically is through a mixed channel role strategy, because to understand that different platforms actually have different user behavior. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok might have different behavior. For example, Twitter is where we focus on driving quick snap bites, shareable content, and where we focus is threads, and retweets and likes is where the main KPI is. Whereas Instagram, for example, is visual driven, very similar to Pinterest, for example, where you find visual inspiration, and we can do so much more on Instagram with Reels, also Instagram Live. Facebook, on the other hand, is these days among Gen Z or among millennials is not so often being used, but is still big in terms of groups or communities. So a lot of seller groups or people actually sell things on Facebook. Information sharing is also still big on Facebook. And for TikTok, of course, this is where the young Gen Z, it's the new kid on the block. It's the rising platform, and anything. If we want to inject on trends, definitely TikTok is the platform to go. Whereas WhatsApp and Telegram is much more for information blast or direct to consumer type of communications. And with social media strategy also, the second point is reaching wider audience through ads. So if you have created your organic content, it's best to choose and select instead of only relying on organic posts to be able to boost and reach wider audience and enjoy your content. And last is, of course, content is king. And the first 2 seconds is basically where you should really focus on. And this can be done through really coming up with powerful clickbaits and really telling them upfront what your customers will get if they continue to consume your content, for example. And the third strategy for digital marketing is e-commerce. E-commerce actually is, of course, is a platform, and on a daily basis, self-traffic is huge. For example, when talking about at least Shopee itself, hundreds of millions of users are on the site on a daily basis. And where we leverage e-commerce is on a lower funnel conversion scale or touch point. And what's important to focus on for this e-commerce itself is product visibility and discoverability. So when people search about your product, it's there. So we're able to do three things within e-commerce itself. One is to capture traffic through search. So really make sure you own the keywords of your product and category level. For example, if you sell fashion or Muslim fashion, for example, you can ensure that you bid and win all those keywords. And you can even bid on your shop name on e-commerce level to be able to capture all these buyers on the site. Number two is campaign participation. And for e-commerce, it's very common to do something festive during the online shopping day. For example, the 11/11, 12/12, or the New Year sale or the Ramadan sale coming up. So this is where businesses should really focus on driving their conversions. So your brand building consideration awareness can start even before, but the season peak should really focus on driving the conversion. And conversion can translate to free shipment promotions, for example, or bundling packages, or even first trial kits and so on. And for e-commerce also, there's also features such as in-app ads placement, where you can promote your store, you can promote similar products. So when people search about Muslim fashion, your product would appear on the platform. And affiliate marketing is something that we compensate influencers, buzzers in a commission base. So if they're able to bring sales to your business, they get about 3 to 10% of affiliate commission fee, for example. And a case study that I would like to share for e-commerce is it is very possible to upscale SME brands, even going global with e-commerce as a key marketing touch point. An example here is actually a local brand from Indonesia. It's called Jilbaku. It sells hijab. And ever since they joined in 2018 and recently joined the export program, they've been able to grow their business by almost 200% in the past 6 months, and actually serving customers of other countries where Shopee is present. So from Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam, to even the Philippines. And even Shopee is also expanding now to other markets, Brazil, Mexico, and Latin America. So the benefits of choosing e-commerce as a digital marketing touchpoint, not only on conversion, but also an expansion of your market and consumers. And the pillar number 3 on content and creative. Content and creative becomes something that is very essential nowadays, because there's so many things, so many information spread on a daily basis. Every time we open up Instagram, there's always so many information noise. So how do we stand out from the crowd? Is basically from being able to capture a clear key message or something that is very outside of the box. You're able to actually bring in new viewers, convert to sales, and building a loyal fan base. And there are some fundamental principles. There's actually 10, but I will touch on actually 5 to be able to create a successful creative content strategy to meet your main objective. And the main objective is basically appeal. Appeal is the number 1 factor where people would actually click that button and share to their friends and families, right? Number 1 is understanding your consumers. It goes back again to doing your homework in your persona profiling, really understanding who you're trying to target and who you're not trying to target. And secondly is identify trending subject matter. For example, for guys, there's a recent football match, or there's a recent Paris Fashion Week. So those trending subjects that we can actually write on to drive more relevancy so people can actually share these content. Number 3 is to connect through emotions. Sometimes maybe a lot of ads actually touch on this subject where they can win more engagement. For example, recently Women's Day, those are the types of momentums that we can actually build on emotions. And appealing to your audience values, this actually varies if your brand is a lifestyle brand or is it a scientific brand. So it really depends on these values that you can build upon. But last factor and the most important factor is actually building on consistency, because creating content is definitely not easy, and consistency is the key to actually to be able to get more followers growth, because by systems the algorithm can also see based on your frequency and consistency level of content creation. Okay, so we've talked about the 3 core pillars that we should focus on digital marketing. So it's now time for your action and how will you apply it to your business. So this is a basic 1-pager summary where you can map and pinpoint of where your business are at the moment. For example, okay, I'm on the awareness stage, or I'm on the stage where I want to drive engagement and directly convert to leads, for example. And the channels are listed down here where you can actually focus on where you want to double down on the effort. And the buy funnel actually links down to also your strategies and where you want to focus on. For example, driving awareness, because choosing a touch point would be very strategic, especially if you don't have all the resources or budget. If you have all the money in the world, probably you can just blast across all stages with all of these different initiatives. And by doing this by adhering to this 1-pager, you can actually go back and reflect and maybe consult and review on a periodic basis of where your business is and what can we do differently and what can we innovate across these touch points. Okay, so we've talked about the opportunity of the digital landscape and why we should actually go digital. It's cost efficient, it's traceable, trackable, and you can actually measure down to cost per every action for every dollar that you put into the digital marketing campaigns. And number 2 is we learn about understanding your consumer first by doing the segmentation and profiling. And number 3 is understanding what are the digital channels and how to best select and what kind of framework can I use for me to adhere to later on once I'm working on the business or the project. And number 4 is what are the key components and the tips that we should focus on for winning content to supercharge your business conversions. And the basic fundamental tips shared earlier, it doesn't stop there, because digital marketing is a huge realm and there's a lot of technical details to it. So what was presented earlier is just basically the surface, but if you would like to deep dive into the course itself, there's a lot of tools, resources you can refer to on Coursera, Udemy, even Google has its Google Digital Academy. I think with Google, you can definitely sign up, and some is free and you can check which one's available according to your preference. And also books would definitely help. There's a lot of books out there that can really help you grow and expand in your knowledge for digital marketing. And of course, as a quote by Cliff Sirkin, she's actually the CMO of the top FMCG company, Kimberly-Clark. We don't believe in digital marketing, but we believe in marketing in a digital world, because everything that we live in today, it's very hard not to stay away from our mobiles, right? So it's essentially is a marketing in a digital world. So apologies for the noise in the background, that's very distracting, but I hope that we can discuss if you have any questions or even concrete case studies that you would like to consult with, that I may be able to help everybody and friends at home. Thank you so much, and I pass on back to Puan Suhaila. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mbak Lulu. Mashallah, it's such a comprehensive and a very informative I would say, the secrets to digital marketing all in one in such a short period of time. I think I hope everyone has a lot of questions to ask, and if you do, please type in your questions in the chat box. But in the meantime, I think as you go through the process, and as you go through from how and the importance of digital marketing and understanding the clientele, it's can be overwhelming, right, Mbak Lulu? I mean, sometimes I think for smaller SMEs to start off with, or probably a middle size, or probably corporate, the question again is, where do they start? They have already existing, and considering, as you mentioned just now, there's SEO and social media platforms and e-commerce. There's a lot that goes into it. And then where do they focus? Do they focus on SEO? Do they focus on social media? And again, social media, there's a plethora, and now with TikTok, so there's Instagram and Facebook. Do they go to all these platforms, and how can they focus depending on their business size? I think because we have a range of participants here, I think ranging from banks and as well SMEs, and so we want to hear from you. What would be the best fit for them, and where do they start?
Okay, thank you, Puan. Such a great question. So every time I work with SMEs and here in local markets, there's 2 points that I would always focus and emphasize on where to start. Number one is, again, going back to your consumer. Who is your audience? Is it baby boomers aging 50 to 60? And from knowing your audience, we can actually identify where these people are. Do they use Facebook? Do they use Instagram? Or do they use other platforms, or they don't use social media at all, for example? Number one is audience. Secondly is resources, or the stage of business. If you're just starting out and you have other priorities, for example, focusing on production or focusing on operations, and marketing becomes very challenging for you to focus on, for example, with limited capability and resources, I would say focus on the fundamentals. So after understanding where mapping out all your consumers, then you understand exactly where you should play and focus on the lowest hanging fruit first, and really prioritizing things. And from there, you can actually pilot and test a small campaign, a basic campaign, for example, for you to be able to scale up on a further scale. And of course, when working with SMEs, sometimes it's a very limited, tight budget, and everything has to be converted to sales, right? So really choosing your touch points that is, again, as mentioned, lower hanging fruit that can directly translate to leads and even conversions. And sometimes for SMEs, it takes time to figure out the right formula. So the secret is trying out. And that's the beauty of digital. It's testing, A/B testing.
That's right. We've got more questions. Alhamdulillah, we've got more questions coming in. So let me go through it one by one for you. So the first question is from Puan Abdul Khalaf. And he asked, can you name some useful digital marketing tools?
Yes, okay, definitely. So when talking about digital marketing, we divide by own assets. Own assets would be your websites, your social media. So when talking about own, usually the tools that we use is Google Analytics, if you have your own website. So that's Google Analytics in itself is a very powerful tool where you can track where your drop rates, your bounce rates are for your page if you have a website, and you can improve the user experience and the UI of your page from just doing Google Analytics. And Keyword Planner is also a good tool for you to use if you are going into SEO or SEM to be able to identify what are the top keywords by volume that you like to use. And if you're moving into SEMs, SEMrush is also a good tool. And if we're talking about earn platform, so this would include like social media, some of the tools when talking about content creation, for example, I think Canva is a great tool for beginners to start. It's free. You can design great things. for your social media content. And you can also use social media managers, and great news, Facebook or now changed to Meta. They have a Meta business business dashboard where you can actually use it to plan out your editorial, your content plan for the next few days or even months. So definitely leverage those free tools that's available. And when talking about other tools, I think there's quite a few more. So website.
I would have to agree on the Canva. Definitely changes. Canva changed the whole, especially Canva Pro. It changes the whole landscape of using is it Photoshop that we used to, and it was hard enough to use Photoshop. But Canva came in, and I think I started using Canva Pro just this year alone, and that. My goodness, I think teachers benefits from it dramatically. Definitely tools and apps are easy to find. The next question here for you, Mbak Lulu, there's a lot going on here, so I'm going to try as much as I can, as quick as I can. So how do you think that the changing digital landscape changes the educational needs in higher level institutions? What are the important knowledge and skills that students should be competent with? And this is from Juradiyani Haji Akub.
Okay, great question. So the whole changing shift across consumers about digital adoption and transformation, it definitely also applies in education. And we can see how we are today. We're talking face-to-face across border, and the skill sets needed actually to support this is basically on the tools that we can use and how to deliver and engage in a digital format. If that helps to answer. And there's a lot of courses out there where we can actually take for free to fine tune and how to deliver, for example, how to deliver webinars, how to engage more participants online. And because when we used to do things offline, teachers in a classroom setting can interact directly with students, right? However, when doing things online, we have to be a bit more creative and deal with technical issues. For example, like today, where I'm experiencing, neighbors is doing some construction work, and also what kind of engagement, for example, doing quizzes online. We can do Kahoot as a tool that we can do polling live and doing breakout rooms. And even now, there's a lot of paid and really expensive ones, even for business workshops, done everything online, where it used to be in a hotel setting, example. So it really transforms, and the skill set needed is to think creatively and how to engage better with your audiences, especially when you're not meeting them face to face.
Do you think the current students, probably starting from age 8, should have such skills, like this digital marketing skills? What do you think? I think the younger generation, even my kids alone, they're 8 and they're doing YouTube. And so I'm just wondering is this essential moving forward into the future for them at such a young age to have such skills?
Definitely, Puan, because you see children these days, the generation of Alpha, they're digital natives. They're born with gadgets. They're being entertained since preschool, even as entertainment source, and their source of reference point would be YouTube and all these. Sometimes they even know how to take photos and even TikTok videos better than I do. And you would be surprised by the amount of things that they pick up on YouTube. For example, okay, I'm going to unbox, here's what's in my bag. And sometimes you think, where did you learn all of this? So because of the nature it's very ingrained already in this younger generation. So definitely, I think it should be instilled early on in education systems.
Thank you for that. The next question from Shamun is MSME may be afraid to embark on this, which is true. Fear of accounts being copied and hacked, and I think probably even ideas being copied. Do you think some standards or guidance of simple cybersecurity measures that is easy to follow can help? How do you keep your platform safe? That's a very good question.
That's a very good question.
We've seen it all over the place. I think very big IG or TikTok, and they get with probably over 10 or 20,000 followers, and they get hacked. And to get that, all the content back is such probably a pain. So how can they avoid this? What are the measures?
Some practical tips definitely is always double protect yourself. And you can do this with something called two-ways verification. Make sure you link your Gmail and your main account to all of your social accounts. Make sure you don't share this. For example, if you work with staff, make sure you really share with really trusted ones, or at least you have the master access to your main account. So you can see if someone is trying to change your password, someone trying to hack, that goes directly to your inbox email. And secondly, it is very understandable that there's a lot of fear moving into digital. What if someone copies my ideas, or even stealing my customers' accounts? However, once we go through these, really make sure that we store these passwords safely. We don't share to anyone. We double protect ourselves. The opportunity is much bigger than the constraint itself. And there's always, actually, I think organizations or even communities, maybe even with Recap, that can help to educate more and more how to deal with data safety and protections. And there's a lot of tools and resources out there, actually, aside from what was mentioned on Google.
I would agree with you on the double protection. I think I've read this before, and I've seen people mention that not to focus only on one sort of social media platform, and rather have plenty, so that way you will drive traffic from either one of them. Either, say for example, IG, Instagram is more for posting what your products are, but you have your TikTok as your sort of viral how-to tutorials, and that kind of links to each other. So again, if either one, probably Instagram gets hacked, at least there's a TikTok to save. So maybe again, having several social media platforms, that would help as well. Okay, the next question is, other than from Diana Sulaiman, other than survey, are there any other ways to study your market? Another very good question.
Sorry, the question was, aside from survey.
Yeah, aside from survey, because, you mentioned that in order for us to understand the market, we need to do, So other than survey, are there any other ways to study the market?
Okay, so to study market, there are three ways to do it. One is, if you're a small mom and pop shop business, the best way is actually to directly engage during transaction time. For example, when they buy your meal, when they buy something from your shop, actually start talking to them and start to build connection, build rapport, and actually, extract insights qualitatively and gain from conversations. Secondly is, aside from surveys, at least we have to start actually recapping all these consumers' data that have made purchase from the business, for example, listing down all these people, having their contacts, and actually start blasting this Google, even as simple as Google form surveys that we can spread. Number 3 is desktop research. Desktop research is everything is available in Statista on a macro level, or even we can always refer, maybe help with, for example, in Indonesia, we have the Ministry of Trade, or even like on a smaller level scale, city-based, where we can actually ask questions, or even if they have these secondary data information that we want to get. But the best and the simplest practical way to start for SMEs is talk to your consumers, reconnect with them, blast your surveys, or even use your social media and do a little bit polling quiz, for example, this or that template. And even you can post on social media, you boost it on Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and reward them for taking your survey, for example. Maybe reward them doesn't have to be through expensive products, maybe just free download online books if you take these surveys. So that way, in a way, can incentivize people to fill in your form.
Okay. Next question from Faye Yakov. With regards to engaging with social media influencers, what do you suggest is the best way to measure the effectiveness of the engagement and prove that it actually translates to sales? This is very, I like this question. So
it's a very good one. And my experience of having worked with a lot of KOLs influencers, I can tell you they are expensive, especially if you work with tier 1 actress level or even down to micro tier 3 levels. And based on experience, KOLs or influencers can serve for two purposes. One is really driving awareness for your brand because they have a number of followers, following. Secondly is through conversion. But the only way for you to measure your conversion is if you have a link that is tied directly to your platform. But a lot of SMEs don't have this tech savviness for you to be able to link and tag and actually measure down to conversion add to cart. So the best way to do that is to share a specific code that you can later on track to, for example, if they use Lulu 10, and that means 10% of from having used these KOLs, you'd be able to track. However, the metric that you can measure is just the number of dollar figure that you spend on each of these influencers and benchmark that against the number of businesses and sales. However, it's very tricky, KOLs these days. It depends also on your products. Sometimes it can, I'm still also skeptical about KOLs, but maybe we can use this in a more strategic way. For example, maybe for brand awareness and engagement, whereas conversion is definitely a challenge, still a challenge these days.
Okay. Okay, I think I missed one question before this from Awangku Amshar. What are your advice to SME to invest in marketing tools such as Salesforce to further assist their business CRM, which can lead to great sales tracking for predicting next sales trends?
Yeah, Salesforce is a great way for automating your business. So everything doesn't have to be very manual. You have your data insights and then you can directly apply. So that's a great way to start. It goes back to resources that you have in your business. Just ensure that it's definitely on the cost itself. Secondly is sometimes a lot of these tools can be very savvy and the team or the owner doesn't end up actually using it. So make sure it's very user-friendly and you're able to make the best use out of these platforms. I hope that answers the question.
We have more questions coming. Are you ready for the next one, Ms. Lulu? Keep the questions coming in, everyone. I hope this has been engaging for everybody and a lot of information. I'm sure there's more information that you want to get out of Mbak Lulu. So the next question is from Balkis, which is among Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, which one do you think is the best platform to advertise and promote the online business in terms of maximum exposure and security?
Maximum exposure and security. So for maximum exposure, definitely, I think the beauty of Facebook, Instagram under one parent company, you can actually target both. However, in terms of your budget allocation, if you want to do 70 Facebook, 30 Instagram, or vice versa, it really depends again on your target audience. If you're targeting on a younger group of people, definitely Instagram. Facebook is still relevant, however, different subset of people. And for TikTok, actually, it's actually good for, they have a TikTok shop where you can actually run ads and directly translate to business. For TikTok, definitely is targeting more into younger segments, maybe the younger Gen Z millennials. And yeah, I think it really goes back down to your business and your target audience.
Okay, the next question is from Puan Abdul Khalaf, which is, what's the limitation of digital marketing? Oh my goodness, I think I could safely answer it, but I'll give the floor to you, definitely. Yeah. What are the limitations? Oh my goodness.
And I think after this, Puan can help to add. I think it was already brought up earlier. The digital marketing is privacy, data security issues, number one. But the rest in that is goes back again on cost efficiency, because sky is the limit. If you have all the resources, limitless, yeah,
limitless.
You can target everybody, even if you want to target people in North America today, even targeting, but it goes back again down to efficiency. How much money actually is being burned. So the challenge is, how do you be more cost efficient so you can target the right people so that your return on investment, or what we call return on ad spend, is very maximum. So maybe Puan can help to add more.
I'm seeing the trend now, rather than spending a lot more money, or probably, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I'm seeing more of the trend of organic growth through engagement, through actually connecting to people. And definitely, you mentioned just now, one of the last points that you mentioned was definitely consistency. I think that's a major part of sort of reducing the cost as well, being consistent and posting and creating contents. But what are your thoughts on this? Because there's ads cost money, of course, but connection to people rather than just purely selling. What are your thoughts on this?
Definitely. And we see people these days, they're inundated with a lot of content. And people within the first 3 seconds, if they don't think this is relevant, they would just skip. So gone are the days where it's very hard selling communication and content. So everything has to be very subtle, smooth, and later on inject. So I definitely do agree 100% with you, Puan, on that. Has to be very evoking in terms of emotional sense.
That's right. The next question, we've got more coming in. People are getting excited, Mbak Lulu. So how does Shopee help their sellers on marketing their products?
Great
question.
Great question. So Shopee is a B2B, also a B2C, also a C2C platform, in a sense that malls or official brands can actually help set up their flagship stores. For example, if you are Unilever, for example, or an FMCG brand setting up your stores, we can definitely help and provide several services, like from operations and even logistics. We have all these, the warehouse. But in terms of marketing, we serve across the platform several tools, as mentioned on the slides, which we have homepage visibility. So visibility, discoverability, and availability of your products reaching consumers, and having programs to reach and expand to bigger markets is things that we can actually help, from SMEs to even large businesses.
Do you think Bruneians, can hop, because we don't have Shopee here in Brunei, but do you think Bruneians products can hop onto Shopee and actually sort of warehouse by Shopee? Is that what you're saying?
There is an opportunity, especially as mentioned, the country is planning to move its capital to Borneo Island, right? Where there's logistics become even more so integrated, connected. Yes, I would say there is an opportunity there.
Okay. Next question is from Noreen Anis. Which one is the better decision? Marketing products based on your passion, niche interests that don't have much traffic, or marketing based on majority's interest? Would you like me to repeat that again?
Yeah, it's okay. For me to recap, so is it based on passion but with little interest, or you go with the mainstream?
Yes.
So the beauty actually is, how do we communicate your uniqueness so that it becomes a forte, a strength, so that the mainstream can understand and appreciate your value? I think that's where the homework is. because it doesn't necessarily mean that your passion that is not yet being seen or valued by customers is not good enough. And doesn't mean that we have to follow the mainstream trends, where sometimes we can actually create these trends, but it's about, is it because my message, or is it because the people that I'm talking to is not the right people, that's why they don't see the value, or what is it within the process that's not working?
I'd like to add a bit more on this question as well. I think maybe a quick example, maybe something that in Brunei can relate to, which is the Instagram of Khairul Aming. I hope everyone knows Khairul Aming here, which I'm very sure. He's, again, a very ordinary person, Malay, maybe slightly dark skin, maybe perhaps. And he started Instagram with just sharing his recipe and his persona. So he started with Instagram on that. And I wrote down here how his, I think over the past 1 year or 2 years has been inspiring, is because he shared his digital sort of video and also his persona, and he started gaining traction on Instagram, and people recognize that he is Khairul Aming, and he started doing Ramadan recipes. Again, people keep following him. And just last year, he actually came up with sambal nyet. Is it sambal nyet? I'm sure everybody knows and tried it. I mean, especially in Brunei. And he owned his only platform for sales was Shopee. And he, over 1 year, his only platform in Malaysia is Shopee. He didn't even sell in any supermarket. There's no supermarket. There's no Instagram sale, purely on Shopee. But he used his Instagram Live and Instagram to do his marketing. And I think recently he posted that he made a sale of 7.5 million just on one product on Shopee alone. And I think that's pretty impressive. So it started probably with his passion for digital production, videography, and then he put it on Instagram. People like his persona, and then he came up with just one product. And now he just showed, I think just about last week, he showed his factory. He's building his factory, which I believe, I mean, out of the 7.5 million, I don't think he has a loan out of it. So, I mean, that's the potential. And I think Shopee can do that too as a platform. And this is, to me, super inspiring. And again, back to the question, is marketing based on passion or what people want? I think a mix of both. You can start off with either one and go on from there. And like you said, there's always the testing phase. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left. A quick question from Krishna Suresh Kumar. For bigger MNC, will they take up secondary or primary research? If the primary research, what type of research will be suitable for them? If it is online survey, could fraudulent or not all people can get access to the website? What is the effective way that we can obtain primary research? Again, back to the question, similar.
Okay, thank you. Also a very good question. On bigger companies who have bigger budgets, based on experience, we usually would divide into quantitative research and qualitative research. So quantitative basically is we would hire agency level, for example, like Kantar or TNS and all these market research agencies, where they would actually recruit and professionally get these people instead of us sending out all these surveys, but only if this is a big MNC and would have budget to do so. And secondly is qualitative. So after we do the quantitative, we get 900 respondents. We get a sense of, okay, where the insight is, and we want to validate it. It can be supported and strengthened through qualitative. So qualitative would be on FGD settings, or even where we sit behind the black screen and the moderator talks and asks about all these questions that we want to validate, like concept testing. So that can be done if have a budget for these big companies.
All right, thank you, Mbak Lulu. Okay, one last question, and before we close, from Hazira Jali, some businesses might not fully utilize this digital marketing or hesitant and skeptical. How do you actually approach this MSME to actually convince them to use?
Yeah, I think it's very normal. Every time I meet SMEs, of course, they have their concerns, but the key is understanding first on the potential. And as mentioned, that's why we started the presentation with the potential of digital economy. 75% people in the country, and I do believe Brunei is also an advanced country where everybody have their smartphones, mobile phones, and it makes just about sense for us to reach these people in a more efficiently cost effective and at the right time, at the right moment. So of course, giving them understanding, educating, do you want to reach your consumer 5 times less expensive than the conventional way and leaves you better results? I think most SMEs would definitely want to onboard. It's just about educating them and how to do so.
Right. Thank you so much, Mbak Lulu. Before we close, I think we'd like to really give you appreciation of such a stimulating presentation, such a stimulating question and engagement from the viewers for this morning's session. Is there any last word from your side?
Yeah, I would just thank every one of you for throwing in such great questions. I love discussing. So if you guys have any follow-up questions, I'd like, feel free to drop me a DM or even connect with Hani or Puan. For any more technical questions, can connect with me on LinkedIn or even Instagram if you would love to get some more help about helping your business. And I love and I'm very passionate about helping SMEs. So yeah, feel free to connect and don't be afraid to try because everything can be learned, but it's all about meeting the right people that can help you grow and build and connect with the right community, especially with also, I do believe Recap can help these SMEs in Brunei.
So basically face that fear. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for this morning session. I think over to you, Yati.
Thank you, Ibu Lupita and Puan Suhaila for the insightful Q&A session. I know the audience might still be curious about this topic as it is a lot to dive into. So I'm sure they can reach out through the contact addresses shared during the slides just now. Now, I will be giving the mic to Yang Mulia Muhammad Nurulham bin Haji Zaini from AITI for this event's closing remarks.
Hey, thank you, Hayati. Thank you to our speaker, Ms. Lulu, for the informative and insightful session today. And our thanks to our moderator, Hajah Suhaila. The usage of digital media has given a new medium for the entrepreneurs in doing business online creatively. The business sector is becoming healthier and more competitive with a variety of options offered by entrepreneurs in digital media and also encourage customers to make smarter choices. Again, thank you to all and your participation is very much appreciated. I hope everyone was able to have some fruitful takeaways that will be applicable for your business or organization. Last but not least, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep social distancing. Now I shall pass back the floor to Hayati. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Mulia Muhammad Nurulham, for your speech. As we come to the conclusion of this event, I would like to invite everyone to answer a poll that should pop up in your Zoom chat right now. You may also scan the QR code on the screen or click the link sent in the chat to answer the questions. Your feedback is greatly appreciated for our upcoming seminars. Speaking of which, our next seminar will be on robotics on the 17th of March. Keep an eye out for the registration link by following AITI or Recap on their social media. Alhamdulillah, we have come to the end of this seminar. Thank you again for AITI for this opportunity to expand our knowledge on digital marketing, and also to our esteemed speaker, Lupita, for being so kind to share your insights on the industry. With that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and have a great day, everyone.